This podcast is for SEO professionals, and each week, with the help of our wonderful guests, we discuss the important stuff that actually affects our careers and progression, but sadly often doesn't get talked about. You know, the invaluable soft and interpersonal skills that are often taken for granted, such as the skills we need for listening, time management, communication, and more. We also talk about the big issues that affect us and our careers, such as burnout, imposter syndrome, self-belief, saying no, plus other big issues and obstacles. With this podcast, we want to share knowledge on topics that unlock our listeners' true potential and enhance not only their careers, but all parts of their lives. So, are you ready to prioritize your own personal growth and career development? Then let's crack on with this week's episode.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the SEO Mindset, where your hosts are myself, Tazmin Suleman, your very own confidence coach, and my dear friend and podcast coach, Sarah McDowell. We have new episodes going out every single Thursday, and in today's episode, Sarah and I are talking about a recent talk that I delivered at BrightonSEO called Burn Bright, Not Out, How to Succeed on Your Terms. And in that talk, I am discussing, what is success and what are the pitfalls. So we're all striving for some sort of success. But what does that even mean? How do we get it? And how come so many people are getting stuck in what I call the success trap? So in this episode, we're going to go through all of that and how to get out of that trap. So enjoy the episode, and if you are interested in finding out more about this topic and how I can help you with this, then contact me. There is a link in the show notes. And to support the podcast and all that Sarah and I are doing, there are various ways you can support the podcast. One is Buy Me a Coffee link, which is in the show notes. So you can give us a donation to help towards the podcast. And other ways are follow us on social. So we're on, especially on LinkedIn and on Instagram. And please leave us a review. So wherever you're listening to this, leave us a review and tell us what you think about the podcast. So let's dive into the success trap and how to break free from it. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Tazmin. Isn't the sunshine in the UK glorious right now?
It is beautiful. I'm sitting at my desk, looking out the window. The trees are there. Every now and then there'll be a pigeon. It's glorious. And you know what? When I go out into my back garden, you can feel the transition. It's like you're going to a different world. It's like I'm going on holiday every time I go into my back garden. It's glorious.
Well, you'd be proud of me and Tash because weekend just gone, we decided. So we don't have a garden, but we have a bit outside of our house that we always try and spruce up in the summertime. So we had a lovely time at a garden centre. I don't know what happens, but you hit a certain age and you bloody love spending time in garden centres. Like, I used to hate going to garden centres as a child, but then there's something that happens. I think for me, it was like late 20s, mid to late 20s. I really enjoy a garden centre. Can't get enough of them. But yeah, we got a load of plants and we spruced up the front of like the porch or whatever you call it. And it was really nice actually because our neighbours were also sprucing up the front of theirs. So it was a lovely Sunday afternoon spent doing some pottering of plants, speaking with our neighbours, having a bit of a sort out. So yeah.
I definitely need to get my game back up again with the garden because we've done some weeding. It's looking better. The grass is cut. The lasagnas are still growing. So apart from that, no, it's looking quite bare. But I'm going to be, visiting a garden centre for sure.
So much fun. Now, Tazmin, What are we chatting? What are we talking about this week?
We are talking about, well, I'm going to be talking about the talk that I gave at Brighton SEO a few weeks ago. And the title of that was Burn Bright, Not Out, How to Succeed on Your Terms. And the track that I was on was success and productivity. And the number of people that have come back to me and said that track was the highlight of their Brighton SEO. So if anybody is listening who is remotely involved in the mechanics of Brighton SEO, let this be a sign that it doesn't all have to be about keywords and content and all of the rest. So yeah.
I do remember as well. So a previous talk that you did a couple of years back at Brighton, you got the feedback that it was keynote worthy. So again, Brighton SEO, if you're listening, Tazmin is up for keynoting the big stage.
But I'm going to do a little bit of proud moment for me because we encourage everyone else to do it. Um, I enjoy public speaking. I had not finished writing that talk until about 1 o'clock in the morning. You know that we were at the same house. We'd gone out for dinner the night before, which we said we wouldn't, but it was a wonderful dinner. Um, and then I hadn't practiced, I hadn't timed it. I just turned up, was in flow. It was so much fun delivering it, but it helped. I've spoken to people since then, and it did touch a nerve, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today. So the theme is, with success. Success is a term that lots and lots of people use. Lots of people are chasing success. Um, but unfortunately, trying to be super productive are getting burnt out in the process. And worse still, Sarah, when they get there to whatever they've been chasing, they realize that they're not even happy. So I
Mm.
wanted to start off the question or the whole conversation with, what is success? And I had to reflect on it when I was writing the talk. And for me, success is being aligned with who I really am. It's about knowing what my values are, knowing what my innate strengths are, what my goals are. And when they're all in sync, life really feels fulfilling, but it also feels like it's sustainable. It's not me trying to keep on running further and further and harder. And the way that I've been able to fortunately craft my career around who I am, helping other people discover their version of success and creating a life around that gives me such joy. So I feel like this success that I have is it's not about the money, it's not about a particular role, it's that holisticness. So, Sarah, my first question to you is, what is your idea of success?
Oh, I love this question, and I always like it when you challenge me. Always love it because it's a chance for growth. But oh, if I think of success, it has changed for me. So, success when I was first in my SEO career, so early 20s, success for me would be money because that's always when you're first sort of exploring or getting into your career or you're looking at success or what you should measure, money always seems to be the most obvious one. Then it's your title, isn't it? So what is your title? What do you want to be? Maybe it's that you have a team to manage, or maybe you've got a certain type of responsibility or reputation. So I suppose when I was early 20s, it was more sort of superficial. So how I looked on the outside. Do you know what I mean? That's what I thought success was. But actually, as I've got older, now I'm sort of like mid 30s, success now is a lot different for me. And success to me is every day waking up feeling proud of what I'm doing. And don't get me wrong, I know it's very idealistic to think, I can wake up each day and be excited by work. I'm going to be excited by the day and whatever it has to bring. And I completely get that it's not always going to be like that. But if you can carve out something that actually brings you satisfaction and something that you feel proud of, you're going to have more of those moments. So I suppose success now to me is feeling that, feeling proud, or feeling that what I am doing is working towards something, which I think is in line with what you said about being in line with your values and your ethics and what you want to do. I think another success metric now is I'm not so money focused. I'm very aware that we live in a capitalist society. So you need money. You need money to buy certain things like shelter, food. You need money to be able to go on holiday. You need money to be able to buy clothes. You need money to all of this stuff. But I think for me, it's not so much how much money I can make, but sort of being like, okay, how much money do I need to have a happy life? What do I need to sustain that? Because I've seen so many graphs where, like, it goes to show that money doesn't bring you happiness. So obviously there's a cutoff point. Once you have enough money to keep yourself sort of secure and settled, and you've got enough to do everything you need, your happiness doesn't continue once you exceed that amount. So it's more about knowing that I've got security, and financial freedom maybe is one. And yeah, and also like the flexibility of fitting work around life rather than life around work. So I don't want to be working really hard. So in the past, I've been in toxic environments where it was like, you got to work hard. You got to be the first one at your desk in the morning. You've got to be the last one to leave. And if you're not, then you don't care. You're not going to be successful. Whereas I don't want that life. I want to be able to, yeah, work on projects, work on campaigns, work on stuff that I'm proud of. But I don't want that to get in the way of actually living my life
Yeah.
and having adventures with Tash, going and seeing friends and family, working on hobbies or side projects that don't necessarily bring me in money, but I can do. So to sum up, I realised that I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but success to me would be feeling sort of proud of what I'm doing and that what I'm doing is making a difference. So fulfillment, financial freedom. So not the amount of money, but financial security and freedom, and the flexibility for work not to be overwhelming, and that's all I'm doing. So I've got a nice sort of work-life balance. Those are my main three things.
And a few things that you've touched on there illustrate a few points that success is very personal. What success is for you would be different to me, for me, different for Jack, for Crystal, for everyone. And knowing what that is really, really important. And also depending on the phase of life. So you said earlier that before you wouldn't want to go to a garden centre, but now you do. Knowing that we evolve and we change. And it's funny that you mentioned that graph with money. Yes, you're right that after you've earned a certain amount of money, that money doesn't give you any more happiness unless you use it to give it to others. That's how you get more happiness out of earning more money. And it's bizarre because I'm probably at the phase of my life where I'm doing the most meaningful work, but I think my relationship with money has changed, that I like money more than I did maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, because I think, okay, the more I make, the more I can give away. The more clients I get with Revitalize, because every now and then I'll be able to offer a scholarship place, which I have in the past, and there's a certain amount. So more again, even that the money success bit is different for different people. But what I am finding time and time again is that why is it so hard for people to feel that they are successful? And when I spoke to a few people, when I've done some research, and I'm calling it the success trap. Many people are in this success trap, and ways to recognize whether you are is one of them is that you're chasing somebody else's definition of success, and that could be a parent, that could
Mm,
be a sibling, that could be a teacher, that could be the person, your partner. Maybe you're in a relationship and those your idea of success and theirs are not aligned. Another another one that we see often in SEO is you're constantly chasing the next milestone. You're saying, when I get to that level, I'll consider myself successful. When I'm leading a team, when I'm leading a department, and it doesn't end. So you never give yourself a break and
mm.
say, okay, I'm doing good here. This next one, so somebody reached out to me after watching this talk on the Brighton replay, relying on external validation. And they said that's the one that pinched me because I'm always relying on somebody else telling me I've done a good job. So I asked them, do you ever say that to yourself that, that was really good? And they said, no, never. And what that does is you talked about financial freedom. When you're relying on external validation, that's emotional. You've got no emotional freedom then. Another one is when you're prioritizing achievement over alignment. I'll do this next course. I'll go and learn that new thing. Even though that new thing might not even sit with you or sit with your goals, it's constant wanting to go and achieve things. And another one is when people don't feel that they have the permission. They have to keep on relentlessly work and work and work and work without getting off the hamster wheel. So I know we're going to go into a bit of a break in a minute, but which of those resonated with you the most, Sarah?
External validation screams at me because I think I've said this before on the podcast, but I'm very aware that I'm a people pleaser. So part of being a people pleaser is I get so much satisfaction when other people have acknowledged what I've done. So, and it's nice, isn't it? Once you get like praise or a pat on the back, or when you get any sort of acknowledgement for what you've done, it feels nice. So, I definitely chase that. So, I think what I could be better at is giving myself praise and making sure that whilst it's nice to get external validation and whilst it's nice to for others to appreciate what you're doing, I can do that for
Yeah.
myself.
And praise for the actions that you've taken, not for the outcomes, because then you're relying on somebody else to say, "Oh, that worked."
Yes, yeah, and that definitely resonates with me because if you are too results focused and because there's lots of stuff in life that's going to work and not. So, in your personal life, but also in your professional work life, you're going to be constantly trying new things, especially if you're outside of your comfort zone and you're pushing yourself. So, if I am too focused on looking at what like brings results, I'm going to forget about all the hard work and not just the work that I've done, but sometimes other opportunities will
Yeah,
come from that. So even if it's not the desired outcome, there might be another opportunity or another thing that comes from that conversation or that ask,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Now, Sarah, if you would like, and if anyone listening would like, in the show notes there is a free training, how to succeed without burnout. And there's also an audit. So if you think you might be in the success trap, There's also a free audit that people can take. So, both of those resources are in the show notes, and shed loads of other resources that I've put. Our Ikigai training is also in there, and we'll tell you about that after the break, Sarah.
I was gonna say, what like tease? What? Why should our listeners come back
Oh,
for
I'm
part
going to
two?
tell them how to break out of the success trap. I mean, if that's not an incentive, I don't know what is.
Ah, well, I'll definitely be
Yeah.
coming back then, won't I? You've incentivized me.
Hi, Tazmin here. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Be more visible, earn more, but also take care of your well-being and have work-life harmony? Well, I can help you because I'm offering you a free 30-minute consultancy call. Together we can go through where you want to be and how to get there. Simply click on the link in the show notes, fill in a form, and I'll get back to you.
Sarah here, just quickly popping on to let you know about how you can support the podcast, how you can support me and Tazmin. So, first things first, we are set up on Buy Me a Coffee, which means you can give us a one-off donation. Thank you to everyone who has done that already. If you fancy doing that, the link is in the show notes and we'd be very much appreciative. And another way is help us spread the word. Get more people to know about the podcast. Tell your colleagues, friends, loved ones, hey, even your pets. Next time you're listening to an episode and you think someone would really love it, find the link and why not share it with them?
So, Sarah, welcome back to Succeeding Without Burnout, succeeding on your terms.
And I'm very excited because the first half definitely got me thinking of ways that I fall into this success trap. And even if I can see ways that I have changed, there's definitely old habits or habits now where I need to get out of. So I'm very intrigued, Tasmin. How do we get out of the
Right,
success trap?
three steps, and three steps only, but obviously you know that they're going to take a little bit of time. So, step number one is define who you are and what success means to you. Now, we talk on the podcast so many times about the importance of self awareness. And I suggestions that I would have for anybody who wants to understand themselves more is one is journaling. And we've talked about journaling, we've talked about reflecting on your day, reflecting on what's important to you. Another one is do a full year review. So I've put a link in the show notes of a blog post that talks you through it. Because if you go through the last year or the last 6 months and look at things that happened and ask yourself, oh, did I enjoy that? Do I want to do more of that? That's showing you that that's important to you. Or if you do look at something, you think, never again, never want to see that person or whatever, that's not that important to you. So that's a really good way of finding out clues about who you are and um, what you really value. Another one is to do the ikigai. So we've talked about this. And this is understanding what you love, what you're good at, what you can offer the world. And we had and what the world
What the
needs.
world
And we had a free
needs?
training on that. So all of the resources are in the show notes. But the idea is that you understand, and obviously will evolve depending on your age, depending on your circumstances. So it's not a do it once type of exercise. It's always being, in touch with um, what's going on in your life, what sort of phase you're in. But yeah, absolutely do it the first step. Give yourself time and permission to discover who you truly are.
Because right now, if I do this, so bearing in mind I'm like mid-30s, if I did this again in a couple of years' time, or even like when I reach my 40s, like I feel that Sarah as a 40-year-old is going to be very different to Sarah as a 35-year-old because things are going to change.
I would suggest doing the full year review every year. Do it round about Christmas make an event, get into your comfy pajamas, get some hot chocolate or a drink and some popcorn. I love popcorn. Don't know if I've ever said that. Oh, I love popcorn. And make a thing, get your journal, get your diary, get your calendar, get your photos.
And I think it's about shifting the mindset here, because you might be like, this sounds like a lot. This sounds like a lot of effort and time, but you've got to change your mindset, because you are worth investing time in. You are worth just spending a couple of hours in that glorious setting with popcorn, fluffy socks, a hot drink, but
Well,
invest in
all I can
yourself,
say
isn't
is,
it?
crikey O'Reilly, if you don't want to spend a day with yourself once a year, then you've got bigger problems. So I love spending time with myself. Anyway, I'm conscious that we are, step number 2.
Step two.
So, okay, so you've done the work and you've figured out who you are and you've figured out what success means to you. And that could be, I want to eat at a fancy restaurant once a month, or I want to take a hike with my friends, or whatever it is. Step number 2, and this is where people end up going wrong and then burning out. Set clear, intentional goals. If your goal is to make money, then ask yourself, how much time am I spending on the things that are going to help me make money?
Yeah. And that's so important to keep yourself on track, because you could easily fill up your time with something else that isn't aligned
Yeah.
with that
So,
one
goal,
goal.
strategy, action. And we've talked about this before. So, if your goal is, I want to develop my career, what is a strategy? It could be become more visible, for example. That's part of your strategy. Be more visible with what? Because if you want to progress your career in content and you're talking about something completely different, well, that's not aligned. And then what are the actions? Are you going to ask people if they can, they can, you can write on their blog posts or public speaking or whatever. So have that all in line, and don't try and do everything at once. So pick the goal that's going to give you the most leverage.
Mm.
And if it is, I'm really broke, and you know what, I want to go on holiday and I want to do all of this, but I got no cash. Work on that first. So don't do everything at once. Work on the thing that's important and do small and consistent things. Don't try and go big. Just little steps, one little step every single day. Like I said, the training is in the show notes. I expand on this. I know I'm going really quick because we've got a little bit of a deadline today. And the third thing, this is where I want to focus a little bit more, set yourself up for success. So the first thing I want to say is, there are so many people out there that say, oh, find a role model that's doing what you're doing and just do what they do and you'll be successful. No, don't do that. You can get inspiration from that, but they've got a different life. They're a different person. This is why I get really cross at, follow my blueprint and you will make, a gazillion dollars. I don't want to follow your blueprint. I've got to get dinner on the table. I've got children and grandchildren I want to spend time with, and my life is not as routine as yours. So be really aware of the amount of marketing that's out there telling you to do it in a certain way. I love a good self-help book. I have a bookshelf full of them, well, bookcase full of them. But take the bits that work for you. Do not feel that you've got to follow it step by step, because again, that's burnout and you may end up somewhere where you don't want to
I
be.
suppose a good thing there is, if you're trying to push something a bit too hard and it feels like you're putting a square peg in a circle and it's just not working, that is
Yeah,
a red flag. That is a
yeah,
signal that you need to stop and be like, actually,
yeah.
what can I
No,
do
really good
instead?
idea. And I like that analogy. Another red flag is, don't deprioritize what I would call non negotiables. So when we get busy, when we are on this path of success and we get busy and we start dropping things, deprioritizing things, and those things are usually health. And the other thing is relationships. I can't hang out with you today because I've got this thing I need to finish. And actually, those are the things that
Or another one that will probably relate to everyone. Oh, I'm gonna have a working lunch. I'm not gonna break today.
yeah,
I'm just gonna
yeah,
plow
yeah.
on right through.
Or I won't sleep. I'm just okay once in a while, fine, but I'll just work till 11, and that'll be fine because then I can, go to bed at 11:30, and I'll still get my 6 hours. It's not how it works, folks. It's really not how it works. So things like that give you energy. You will be mentally tired if you don't invest, time in those. So don't do that.
And again, if you find yourself snapping at your partner, loved one, or friends, or whoever you live with, or whoever you're constantly seeing, that's a red flag, isn't it? And you can be like, oh, hang
Yeah,
on, something's not quite
absolutely.
right here.
As we have both discussed before we started recording this podcast, because I certainly snapped at dear Mr. K.
We all do. We all
Oh,
snap, and we all
I don't
snap
know.
at
I
the
don't know
wrong
if I should have
person.
said
But
that now
anyway,
that I've got a Zen Queen personal brag. It was Tasmin
Tasman's
truth. My
truth.
daughter sometimes says, "Queen, get them to come and talk to me. Tell them how Zen you are." Oh dear. Okay, right. Build a
What
team.
else
Don't
is on
try and
your
do this on
list?
your own. So, cheerleaders who can guide you, who can mentor you, who can coach you, you will get so much further with a team. Don't please try and do it on your own. And again, I go into a lot more detail in the training, but the last that I want to end with, and there is a quote after this. So, be optimistic and be grateful. If you're going to get up out of bed and say, "Oh, same old day," oh, do you know what? You're not going to do the work that it's going to take to get you where you want to get to. And if you're not going to be grateful for what you have, why would any more make you any happier? So those are the two that I'm going to end with: optimism and gratitude. And this quote, so I heard it on a podcast. I put it on my slide deck, and somebody sitting in the slide deck knew the person that I was talking about, and she sent a picture to him. So he's like his best-selling author, and then he reached out to me and said, "Tasmin, I love that you included that." So it goes like this: how much longer are you going to avoid what you are capable of doing in order to continue with what you're comfortable in doing? And the quote's from Simon Alexander Ong. The book he wrote is called Energize, and it's a super book if you've not read it. So, Sarah, we've got a few minutes before we wrap up. Any leaving thoughts or what's been your biggest takeaway?
Oh, crikey. Loads, loads and loads, loads and loads and loads and loads. I, yeah, I just think a main takeaway for me is prioritizing this, and you've got to have a plan. So when you're thinking about success and what that success means to you, like spend some time with yourself and figure that out and have a plan, and don't get too attracted by shiny objects. Like I've got a bit of a magpie brain sometimes, and I could end up chasing something that looks shiny because other people are doing that, but that's not necessarily in line with what I want and what success is to me. So I think it's about being super clear on what you want at the end of the day. What is success to you? Like, get to know yourself, figure that out. I obviously I've got to do that for me, but I would also have a conversation with Tash and be like, okay, when we're building this life together, what is success for us both, and how can my work help with that? So it's being super clear and having that flexibility, spending time reviewing, seeing what's happening. And yes, and I really love this episode because it's just got my brain thinking and inspired me as well. And I just want to sort of say another thing of someone, I can't remember where this has come from, but I was scrolling through Instagram and someone posted about how the feelings of fear and anxiety are very similar to the feelings you get when you're excited. So another thing that you can do is change that mindset. So rather than saying, "Oh, I'm really fearful of this," or "I'm really anxious about this," change that to, "I'm really excited about this," because it's the same feelings in your body. And to have a bit of playfulness, I
Yeah,
suppose, as well, and like
absolutely.
have a go at stuff. Like, it's your life at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be perfect what you do. You've just got to give it a go.
Yeah.
You only get given one
Now,
life, don't you, Tazmin?
listeners, I'm not going to be rude to Sarah because she's the one who's got a hard deadline. She's gone rambling on. So I'm going to quickly wrap this up. Sarah, we've got 2 bank holidays coming up. Dedicate one of them to you and Tash figuring out what success means for you two individually and how they align, and build yourself a plan. And then I want to see it. And then I will help you take the next steps. So for everyone who is listening and wants to do the same, download the training, download the audit, and all that remains for me to say is to wrap up today. It's been super exciting. I've really enjoyed myself. If you would like to support Sarah and myself and the podcast, and there's loads of ways you can do it, but a few are: you could donate via the Buy Me a Coffee link, which is in the show notes. You can follow us on socials, talk to us. We love it when you comment on our posts, and write us a review, because, we also need a little bit of external validation. Um, and if you want to dive into this topic more with me, then click on the link, and there is a link where you can sign up to a free call with me, and we can go through what success means for you.
So just to make that super clear, all of that lovely stuff that Tasman has just spoken about, head to the show notes, because there's always links, resources, everything that we mention gets put in the show notes. So go and follow there.
Sarah, it's time to say goodbye.
Yes, thank you so much for planning a cracking episode, Tasman.
Oh,
You have
yeah,
lit a fire in my belly, if that's the right saying. And yes, I've very much enjoyed this. And yes, the only thing left to say, I suppose, is everyone,
until next
take
time.
care of yourself. And until next time.